Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows 2-pack with Spider-Man and Spinneret. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows 2-pack with both Spider-Man and Spinneret. And for those that don't know, this is based off an alternative reality version of Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson, where they're married, they share the same Spider-Man abilities, and they have a daughter named Annie. So this would have been better as a free pack, just saying Hasbro, but I don't want to start off on a negative because this is a very desired set. Not only is it the first time we're getting Spinneret in Marvel Legends form, this may just be the very best Marvel Legends Spider-Man available, as it is an update of the retro body, but it is now pinless with more articulation. So get comfortable as we will be doing full comparisons in this video. But first things first, here is the box. We cannot see the figures as it is the new plastic-free packaging, so I'm hoping the figures are in there. It seems like something's in there, but I'm not a massive fan of this, to be honest, right now. I do think they could do a better job of the box art. So far, we just get digital renders. We do get a comic image on the side, more digital renders on this side, and then on the back, you get digital renders again, and it shows you what accessories you get. So I do like that element. So I like the digital renders with the accessories on the back, but I do think Hasbro could do a better job of the front. It is part of the Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years celebration that we are doing this summer. All of the packaging in this line is plastic free. I have already reviewed the Future Foundation Spider-Man, and I didn't have the best luck with paint apps on that one. So cross your fingers for me as we open this one up. So let's do it. So let's open them up and pull out the plastic, well, no, the card sleeve, sorry. I told you it's plastic free. So this is what we get. We get little baggies with their accessories, and now we have to take them out of their cardboard coffins and hope that we have good paint apps. So there is Spidey, come out, there you go. And there is Mary Jane. So I'm going to be doing this live with you on camera. So wish me luck. I hope you've got your fingers crossed for me. All right, so first off, let's go Spidey. Let's check his paint apps. First things first. I think I'm okay. I think I am okay. On the back, so far so good. Okay, so Spidey, we will look in a minute, but he looks okay. And now Spinneret, again, with a white costume, any mistakes you're going to notice very quickly. But again, can you believe it? It has happened again. I had to pause the video and scream out of my window, so I apologise to my neighbours if you're watching, but this is just not good enough, Hasbro. For the second time in a row now, I've brought this Spider-Man plastic-free packaging, and for the second time, I have sloppy paint apps. Do you notice? She has literally got no web lines on her shoulder or neck. Now, you may look at that and think it's subtle, but it is not good enough. It is the sheer principle. These figures are not getting cheaper. I spend a lot of money on Marvel Legends. I love this line, and I'm meant to be the positive guy on YouTube, but how can I be when these are the figures I'm opening from the blind boxes? Now, if there was a plastic window, surely the retailers would notice this and they wouldn't send it out to customers. But now it's a blind box. It is luck of the draw. I brought mine from Hasbro Pulse. This is going to be getting returned. I will carry on my review, but I may just be a grumpy old man throughout it. And I hate being that guy, but how can I not be when I spend all this money and I'm just getting like sloppy paint apps again? Okay, so let's get back to the regular scheduled review. I apologise for the rant, but I couldn't help myself. I really was excited about this set, but now the bubble has been burst, and all I'm going to be thinking about is I've got to pack this back up, contact customer services, send it back off, wait for another one. It's just not good enough. But anyway. Both of these figures come with 3 sets of hands and an interchangeable civilian head, and it does seem like the civilian heads look very nice and definitely are an upgrade to the previous version, as they now use a digital render face tech, which I really like, and Spider-Man looks good. So I'm going to move Mary Jane out the way for a minute and concentrate on Spider-Man, because I don't want to look at her right now. I'm not happy. But let's look at Spider-Man and all the differences compared to the retro. So here we have our Spider-Man comparison with both the retro Spider-Man and this brand new Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. So as they're both spinning around, can you tell which is which? Well, the one on the left is, of course, the brand new Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, and it has got subtle differences that make this, in my opinion, the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man. And here's why. First things first, it is pinless. No more alternative colour pins on your Spider-Man uniform, which does make a difference. So much more aesthetically pleasing. Also, the Spider-Man logo on the chest is a lot bigger now, and to go along with the more vibrant red, which I do prefer, it stands out a lot more. Also, the web lines themselves are more spread apart. They're a little bit more spaced out. Well, you don't notice it at first, but now I've told you, you'll definitely notice it. And again, it looks really nice. And there is added articulation. Of course, you can't tell as they're standing, but I'll show you that shortly. The head is a little bit more proportioned with the body. It is a little bit more bigger. But yeah, first things first, side by side, we have a new winner. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at some of those differences that I've just mentioned. Starting at the head sculpt, not only is the head itself a little bit bigger and thicker, better proportion with the body for me, the eyes are also bigger and wider. The whites of the eyes are a lot bigger compared to the retro version, so it gives you that alternative look. Also, the logo on the chest is much better and bigger, stands out a lot more. I like seeing a big Spider-Man there. And then also the web lines are further apart. They're more spaced out. They're not as tight knitted as the previous version. And then the reds are more vibrant as well. So if I bring this one in real quick, this is the retro version. Smaller logo on the chest, much tighter web lines and a darker red, and obviously smaller eyes as well. So yeah, I do prefer just the look of this new Renew Your Vows version for sure. Also, comparing them side by side, it looks like the blues are different as well. The Renew Your Vows is a darker blue compared to a more vibrant blue on the retro version. So yeah, alternative colours there on each of these. I also want to show you the arms as this new Renew Your Vows version, completely pinless arms compared to the retro. And the retro doesn't look so bad from this side, but on the inside of the arms, you have big red pins on the blues of the costume, which is just not accurate. It's not how it is. That needs to change. And thankfully, this new one has, as we have no pins on the inside of the arm. So look at that difference. That is a big difference for collectors. Very subtle, but much more aesthetically pleasing for when taking photos or displaying. Looks a lot better. That is how Spider-Man is seen in the comics. So yeah, no pins on the arms. That's a big deal. And they both have about the same range of articulation in the arm. Go past 90, swivel at the bicep, and the shoulders go all the way up with a nice deep butterfly joint back and forth as well. So yeah, no complaints there on articulation. Basically the same sort of articulation. The difference is if we go all the way down to the legs, and again, pinless legs, double jointed pinless legs as well, may I add. Beautifully done. Very nice. Let's go down to the boot swivel there. Thicker web lines as well. You get the ankle pivot and rocker. But look at this. We haven't seen this since the Toy Biz days. We have toe articulation. Now, this isn't something that I'm particularly clamoring for, but I know that ACBA artists, people that take photos, do some nice posing, are going to really utilize this to its advantage. And yeah, Spider-Man should have toe articulation, and now he does. So that is an added point, as that was not on the retro version. Obviously, no toe articulation there compared to this one. So there you go. That is a big difference. And yeah, other than that, it has the same sort of swivel at the thigh, the drop down hips, you've got the crunch down here at the waist, and then you get the rotation and the sort of ball joint up here at the top of the diaphragm. So yeah, overall, people, in my opinion, and I have a lot of Marvel Legends, this is the best Spider-Man Marvel Legend currently available to us. In regards to accessories, he comes with a set of fisted hands. It wouldn't be Spider-Man if he didn't have his web swinging, swipping hands. And finally, he comes with a set of wall crawling hands that are a lot more expressive, and you can use them for so much more than just wall crawling. And his final accessory is an interchangeable Peter Parker head sculpt, which is very nice. Now, granted, we have seen this exact head sculpt before, but now it has the digital face printing technology on it, and I think it makes a difference. It looks really nice nice. Undeniably, probably the best Peter Parker head sculpt we have available to us in Marvel Legends. But if you don't like the digital face printing tech, it is the same as the other one if I bring it in for a side-by-side comparison. So there we have one that's painted that came with a 2-pack with Mary Jane. We have had that a couple of times before, one beaten up with Craven, etc. But there we have it compared to the digital tech. And again, you can make your own mind up. But for me, the digital tech is definitely the winner. One last look at the Spider-Man with the Peter Parker head sculpt on, with all the other accessories, of course, the 3 interchangeable sets of hands and the alternative head. I do wish, however, he would come with like a scrunched up mask that he could hold while he's got the Peter Parker head on there, so it looks like he's just unmasked on the shelf. That would look really great for display. Hasbro are yet to do that, but that is an accessory I would like to see in the future. Other than that, though, in regards to like the most basic accessories we could get with a Spider-Man, I think we're safe to say I'm happy with what we've got here. Moving on to some comparisons. First up, of course, more Spider-Man, as we have Retro and now the Pizza Spider-Man, who at one point was the be-all, end-all Spider-Man. He was the holy grail for a long time, but times have changed. A lot of people actually still prefer the leaner look of the Pizza Spider-Man. However, I think that more represents a younger Peter Parker. I think adult Peter Parker is definitely a little bit more bulkier and athletic up top. But I understand people's preferences. Obviously, he's holding pizza to let you know it's the Pizza Spider-Man, but I also like the half mask on there. So let's just try a couple of head swaps with this new Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. First up, the half mask face on this new body, and it popped on there no problem at all. Now, the reds might not be perfect, but they're very close. And also the web lines were further apart on that Pizza Spider-Man as well. So they actually match the pattern of the web lines on this Renew Your Vows version. So I actually think this half face mask works really well on this new body. And then here we have the retro Spider-Man head on this new body, which you can see it has the smaller eyes. And even though the reds don't match, because it is on the head, for some reason, you don't really notice. So I do actually think you could make that work as well. And remember, the retro Spider-Man came with 2 alternative heads, so you should be able to use both of these on this body if you wanted to have a more classic looking, smaller eyed Spider-Man. But it's nice to have options. Continuing with comparisons, here we have the only other figure I've reviewed in this 60th anniversary line of Spider-Man figures so far. It is the Future Foundation Spider-Man, who, just like Mary Jane, came with very sloppy paint apps. Go and check my review for that. And before we move on, another quick Spider-Man comparison, as we have Spider-Man UK, and then, of course, we have the Spider Armor Mark 1. Okay, I couldn't avoid it. Back to Mary Jane, aka Spinneret. Firstly, let me apologise. She is a white costumed character against my white background. Not very professional of me. And also, I apologise in advance for any moaning I'm about to do about those missing paint apps. Not happy. But she does come with the same accessories as Peter Parker did, as she has an alternative Mary Jane head and then 3 interchangeable sets of hands. I've put the fisted hands on her just for now. She is on the best female body mold currently available to us. That is the double jointed, pinless Shriek body. So I have absolutely zero complaints in regards to the body mold they have chosen to represent this character. It is the best one available. The only differences are the slight sort of change to the torso, and then she's also got these cuffs around the shoes. So small, subtle changes, but the main thing is she's double jointed and she's pinless, just like Shriek is. So other than that, I really do want to like this figure a lot, as I do like the character design, I like the costume. I just can't get over that. Let's try and focus on the positive here and look at this head sculpt, because it is a very nice head sculpt. I like how she's got her hair tied up in a bun, and then you've got a couple of strands sort of sticking out either side with the red hair, of course. No real wash or detail to the hair, but it does create shadows, which makes it seem like there's a dark wash to it. Either way, it's really nice. The sort of bangs hang over the eyes, and then the mask covers the eyes, so you've got the whited out eyes with the red outline, but the sort of mouth and the teeth look very crisp and clean, no complaints there. And then the ears are just poking out between the hair, and then she's got 2 sort of long strands of hair, one this side, one that side. But it's a nice silhouette, and it is very accurate to how you see her in the comics. So no complaints in regards to that head sculpt. The Spider logo on the chest is pretty clean as well, and apart from the missing paint apps, like they're just genuinely missing lines here, the rest of the lines are pretty clean, quite straightforward, no sloppiness. Even on the back there, you've got 2 holes. I don't know why. Are they on Shriek as well? I guess they maybe are, I can't remember, but they seem unnecessary. Like, they could have went the extra mile here and plugged these holes in, because there is no need for these holes. Maybe you could use them for a flight stand if you wanted to, but other than that, there is no actual reason for these figures to have the holes there. So they're pretty glaring big black holes on an otherwise very nice costume design. From the back, she looks fine. You can't even tell she's missing paint apps there as well on the trunks. Spin it around to the front as well. Again, nice clean lines. She looks fine from like this angle, but then as soon as I turn her up and you see that shoulder, they're missing. Ah, very terrible. Other than that, the rest of the costume is all white, pinless, double jointed elbows, so no complaints there, I am sure. Great range of motion on the elbow. Look at that, you can't ask for more. It literally goes all the way. She has got the red pins for the shoulder, but again, that's not a big deal for me personally. What I can forgive that, but I can't forgive this. Sorry, I'll stop mentioning it in a minute. Down to the legs, she's got the cut there for the thigh, of course. She's got the legs that will go out. She's got the double jointed pinless knees, which are beautiful again. Then she's got these cuffs, which are a separate plastic piece that literally just hover around the ankle there. And then you've got the sort of little slippers, which are red with a nice ankle pivot. And again, nice painted web lines. No missing lines there at all. That can sort of sit more flush there. And yeah, nice little slippers for her costume. So overall, people, I do like this design for Mary Jane. I like the character of Spinneret. I wish we would have got Annie as well. But I tell you what I do wish. I wish I wasn't missing paint lines. Moving on to accessories, just like Peter, she comes with a set of fisted hands, whipping hands for those web swinging poses, and wall crawling hands, which are open palmed, which are very expressive. And this is a nice touch, as we don't really get these on our female sort of spider characters. So that looks really good. Taking a look at the alternative civilian head sculpt of Mary Jane, just like Peter Parker, we have seen this before in Legends. I believe this one came in the Gwen Stacy retro figure as an alternative head, and it is a very nice Mary Jane. This one, however, doesn't really have the wash in the hair. I will show a side by side in a minute. It is updated with the digital face printing tech on the face, so I like how you can see those nice bright blue eyes, and the mouth and the eyebrows look really good. Just the hair doesn't have the wash. My one criticism though about this head is I think it makes the neck look really big. Like, the hair is literally floating over the body, where it should really sit a little bit more flush on the chest. So I actually think she has a little bit too big of a neck, and you can't really Dremel the head any further down either. So yeah, I do think this actually sits a little bit too high on the neck for me personally, but it works facing front, but then from the side it just looks a little bit too high on the neck. So it definitely gives a big neck syndrome. But if I bring in the previous Mary Jane for a straight up side by side, then you can see for yourself the previous one didn't have the digital face printing tech, but it does have that nice wash around the hair to give it that black sort of detail. But the face is painted. It's actually a really nice head sculpt. I actually have no complaints about the previous head sculpt. So it is genuinely pick your preference, but this new one does have the digital tech. The previous one doesn't. And here we have Spinneret compared to my civilian Mary Jane. Shout out Rebel 10 Customs for my tank top. And again, you can use this head sculpt with the brighter hair on this body, just like so. Here we have Spinneret compared to a couple of other females from the Spider-Verse, as we have Silk and Spider-Woman. And here we have Gwen Stacy and Spider-Gwen. Bringing back in the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, I think they look great as a pair, and they scale really nicely together too. What would make this set complete if there was a little Annie Parker standing in between them there. And then here we have a closer look at both of the figures with their civilian head sculpts on. So there we have Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. The head sculpts are a little bit glossy, maybe under my lights, but the digital face printing tech is still an improvement for me. And let's just do a couple more comparisons to finish up. Here we have Spinneret and Spider-Man compared to Miles Morales, and then the retro symbiote suit. And then here we have them compared to a couple of villains, and of course it had to be Venom and Carnage. Here we have Tigra and Frogman, and also White Rabbit in the background there, very kindly holding up her umbrella for Frogman. Isn't that nice? And last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. And I know what you're thinking, usually one of these would give him a whack with Excalibur, but we really like Spider-Man, so we're not going to do that to him. And even though Spinneret is missing those paint apps and we really want to, we would never hit a girl. Well, at least they wouldn't. Final final thoughts on this, The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows 2-pack with Spider-Man and Spinneret, aka Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson. The only thing that this set is really missing is an Annie Parker to make it a 3-pack. That would have really took this set up another notch, but it is still going to be a very desirable set. The Spider-Verse is always hot and people are going to want to add Spinneret to their collection. Not only that, this set also has, at least in my opinion, the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man currently available to us. And of course, everyone has their own preferences, but for me, I think that the pinless tech added to that retro body really does just raise the bar in regards to aesthetic and to the articulation you're going to want for a Spider-Man displayed on your collection, in your display, all of that good stuff. So again, for me, the best Spider-Man out there with a very nice Spinneret. But this set is just left a bad taste in my mouth, as yet again, for the second time in a row, I'm having a bad experience with this plastic-free packaging in this Spider-Man series, as my Future Foundation had messed up paint apps, and now my Spinneret is literally just missing web lines from the design. And it's such a hassle. Like, I know this is first world problems. I'm a grown man buying toys, moaning about the lack of paint, but it is the principle of the matter. Hasbro just keep raising the prices of toys, but yet the paint apps are just like, I know it's luck of the draw, and I know I'm probably 1 in 100 now, but it's the principle of the matter. It just takes the fun away from collecting. I've got to go through the whole rigmarole of reporting this to customer services, packing it back up, sending it off, waiting then to get my new one. I'll be waiting weeks now before I get a Spinneret with the right paint app. So this is the unfun part about collecting, and again, very frustrating experience that just puts me off this plastic-free packaging even more. And I know my buying experience hasn't changed much, but I would hope that retailers notice these things and won't even send them out in the first place. But again, I'm just trying to avoid moaning here, but I'm sure you would agree with me, it's very frustrating. So let me know your own experiences in the comments below. But of course, more importantly, focusing on the positive, these figures. Are you a fan of these Spider-Man figures? Do you reckon it is the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man currently available to us? Or if it's not, what is? I'm always curious to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. But until then, if you like Marvel Legends, then please, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, do not miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. And until then, people, you can find me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and I'm on Twitter as well. Don't be shy, follow me at Dan Who Reviews. And until then, I'll be filing my complaint to Hasbro customer services about my Spinneret, and I will see you on the next one.